So I thought today we would look at some games and interesting tactics from the World Rapid and Blitz Team Championship that just took place a few days ago.
Excellent. Yes, that was quite an interesting event, I have to say. The amateur board of Pangbo was something very special. Have you heard of the Chinese underdog
Yes,
who's not an underdog? Yeah, we
yes,
made a
yes.
show with Robert Rees about this. And of course, there was the Hans Niemann team and WR Chess and all of that. It was very, very fantastic, very, very funky and interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the tactics. Let's go. And thanks everybody for waiting for such a long time. We're back again, and we'll keep you on as often as we can, of course. Alrighty.
Okay, well, the first game that I wanted to look at was the one that became quite famous, but not for the reason of the game itself, but rather for Nepomniachtchi's face expression. Have you seen this
Oh
meme?
no, see, exactly. Those are the things. Yeah, but I've seen a lot of videos where Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi look at each other and have those face expressions. So probably that was one of them was there. Was against Rapport, I assume,
Yes,
right? The
so
first
the
game.
first game is Magnus against Richard Rapport, and it was actually a very interesting position regardless. So I want to
Mhm.
go to the middle game and um, to this interesting moment.
Yeah,
So Magnus is playing with white, and Rapport is playing with black, but we'll be finding moves for black. So let's maybe look at it from the black side.
good.
So at this point, white started playing really risky moves, like knight to g5. You see, it's an attacking move towards the rook, but instead black goes for a counterattack. So he plays knight to f4,
Mhm.
attacking both the queen and the pawn, and then queen to f3. It seems like everything is okay and that white's position is fairly solid, but Rapport felt this position really well and he found the right move. What do you think black should play in this position?
Ooh, all right. Yeah, very good. Well, I actually haven't looked at the game. Shame on me, but how good I didn't, because now I can try to solve a tactic. Okay, so what is the thing going on here? So there's of course the bishop is in a bind, kind of like in a pin,
Mhm.
and how can we use this to our advantage? Um, White should have castled at one point, maybe. Hmm?
Yeah, and that's going to be an important theme of this position.
I see, I see. Okay. So, oh, I don't see anything forcing. I'm getting rusty.
It's not that forcing, but it does have a clear threat. So first of all, first thing that we need to check is that this rook on e4 is hanging because of the knight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm seeing that too. That is also annoying.
So basically, we can just consider what happens if the rook retreats happen. So let's say the rook goes to e5 or to e7, something like
Yeah,
that. Then white is going to castle, and
and
all of the problems are basically solved.
yeah. So we have
So
to,
it's not going to be a rook retreat. I can say that much.
all right, so we have to find something a bit stronger here. Okay, now I don't want to delay this for too long. Probably you know the solution anyway at home already. So I'm thinking the whole time about queen b5.
And that's exactly what
Oh,
Rapport played in the game.
okay,
And it's a
lucky.
great move. And it's exactly what you said about castling. And another important threat is queen to e2. So if this queen ever moves, then queen to e2 is actually checkmate.
Hmm.
And that turns out to be a very big deal in this position because knight to e4 now does not work because now this pawn will take it back and the queen is already running out of space. And if it ever goes away, then of course there's checkmate. And if it goes somewhere else, then we attack it again, and the queen just runs out of spots to protect the e2 checkmate.
That is brutal. Yeah. So after queen g4, you play f5 or something, or h5, I guess.
Yeah, f5 is what I see. H5 is probably a little bit more green.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, either one of
Wow.
these two.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
and queen b5 it's a bit difficult to find because it's a little
Yeah.
untypical. You don't really play this move all the time, but it does show really good understanding of the position. So good job to everybody who found it.
Good
Now,
job.
there was still a follow-up.
Yeah, I
So
thought so.
white now plays g3, so to try to kick out that knight. And what do you think black plays now? That's
Well,
the
it
last point of
yes.
this exercise.
Okay, so it looks very tempting to just play the very simple knight to d3 check, but I wonder if there's something better. If we can, I mean, n- uh, I would love to play to jump with the bishop over the knight to take on g3, but that is not an option. So if we take on e3, I mean, the queen cannot take back, only the pawn can take back.
Yeah, so that's a
So,
good move to consider. Still,
yeah.
it's not the right one just yet, but it's part of the definitely should be part of the consideration. So yeah, you're right about the queen not being able to take because of this. So then you saw pawn takes, and then
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned knight d3, things like
Mm-hmm.
this. Yeah, so
Exactly.
this is part of the line, and this line
Oh,
leads to something kind of unclear. Black does have a really good attack, but white needs to find the defensive move. So let's say if they play anything other than this best defensive move, like king to f1, this is the best. But if something like this, then I agree that black would be better by far
yeah, looks
because of
good.
the attack, because of the other rook can join, and yeah, these pawns are just super weak, and the king is never reaching safety. Something like this, I would say that is winning for black. So then king to f1 is the best defense for the reason that
Mm,
if the knight goes for the discovered attack, like knight to e5, then we have queen to e2,
yeah.
defending against it and also getting the queen out of danger. And position like this is a bit unclear. So it's still good in terms of black's attack, but there is nothing forcing just yet, and there is no factor that gives black a huge advantage for now.
Hmm.
So that was the consideration of rook to e3, which you're right about. But he played a different move in the game that was even stronger.
Okay, wow. So, what could that be? Even stronger. Cannot be, can it? Okay, that's a slow one too. Okay, I just give one idea.
Yeah.
Rook a to e8, and then we can
Okay.
take back on f4. No, it doesn't work, does it? No, it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it's not that's
No,
not it,
no, no.
but I see your idea.
Well, at least you see my idea, you know?
Yeah.
No, I don't know it. I actually.
Yeah, so this
Or
move is not that easy, but I can tell you what it
d4?
is. Hmm?
Also not d4, right? No.
No, it's not d4.
Damn it.
But it is to counterattack the knight. So we don't really win any material, but we want to counterattack this knight because remember that if this knight is gone,
Yeah.
then our rook is also in danger
Yeah.
because then there's no queen to e2.
True.
So because our knight doesn't want to move, we kick out the opponent's knight. And there's two options, f6 and h6. And h6 is a worse version because there's actually knight to f7 available for white. And then take their knight. So instead, if we play f6, this is the best possible move. And then as white takes, we take this knight. If the pawn takes here, which is exactly what happened in the game, black plays rook to f8, which is the best way to go. And believe it or not, this position, it might not look so dominating, but it's actually completely winning for black. And there's a few reasons for it. There's so many threats. There's queen to b2 threat. There's d4 threat, which I think is one of the main ones right now. There's rook to e3. So basically, there's no move for white. Anything that they play will run into some sort of threat or material loss.
Looks great. Yeah, yeah. This is
And
very dominating here right now.
and that's exactly what happened in the game. The game finished soon after a couple of moves like this, where um, white tried to get out of this of this queen being there, but it wasn't possible.
That is
And
nice.
actually, he even resigned after rook to
Yeah, yeah,
d2, but
yeah.
rook to e3 was going to follow
That's very, very clear.
with well, if let's say just the shortest variation, something like this,
Yeah.
with the checkmate soon coming up. So this was the famous game because if you want to check out or maybe included in the video was the Nepo's face when he saw it across the board. Like he got so surprised at Magnus's position that he would get himself into such trouble. But it happens even to the world champion sometimes.
And it was the first game. So probably Nippo thought like, gee, if that's the first game, how is the rest going to be? Something like that, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try to include it.
Okay, so let's check out another one. I have a few.
Good.
So this one is a bit shorter. This is a game between Tabatabaei and Artemiev. And this is a very quick tactic, but this was World Rapid and Blitz, so we see these tactics happen a lot more than we do in classical chess between such strong players. And in this position, it looks super double-edged. Both sides have some attack going on. And now White decides to attack Black's queen on f4 and plays rook to c4. How do you think Black should react to it?
Well, Black should just win it. Okay. Oh, is it that simple? Yes, it is,
It
right?
might be.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I think queen takes g3 is just a straight win, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's something so easy to miss because it looks
Yeah.
impossible. You don't really consider such moves with the queen, capturing a light piece, but this is just winning because
What to
as
do?
White takes, there is a very simple back rank checkmate because of that other knight protecting everything from g4. So this was actually missed during the game, and Black did
Oh.
end up taking on g3.
Yeah, okay. You mean
So
it was
he
missed by
no, so
white, yes.
Black found it, but White missed it. The game still went on because there was some, counterplay with this bishop being here and this pawn being promoted. But at the end of the day, Black just got this really, like a lot of extra material because of this, free piece basically. And Black ended up winning this game after whatever 20 or so moves.
Yeah,
But
do
just a
I
quick tactical practice.
absolutely thank you. Yeah, do I see this correctly? Vladislav Artemiev has a blitz rating of 2799. Holy moly.
That's what
It
it, yeah, that's
it
what it says
could very well
apparently.
be. I mean,
Apparently so.
yeah,
Crazy.
he's a very very good bullet and blitz player. That I know, of course, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that this was kind of his rating.
Okay, let's look at this one. This one was a sort of an opening trick.
Oh,
So
oh,
let's look
nice.
at it from White's perspective. And it started with a Trompowsky-ish, and then we transposed into these typical d4, knight f6 type of positions. And then what I want to get to is this move number 9, where Black has decided to go for the setup with e5, which is logical. They want to challenge the center at some point. And White took it. Now, you could try to guess what do you think you would take with the knight or the pawn, and then we'll see if you actually fall for the same trick.
Well, let's take a look at it. So I have to just calculate, obviously. Yeah. If I take with the pawn and they take back. Wait, that doesn't look too.
So let's initially knight or pawn, and then you can try to find the tactic.
All right, okay, good. Then I will say I would have taken with the pawn.
And that's exactly what happened in the game, and that's exactly the trick. Taking with a
No.
pawn looks really natural, and you keep the center intact, right? But it's not it. Knight to e5 has to be played, and this is the theoretical move. But don't be worried. There's a lot of people that make that same mistake in this position. So it's sort of like a 50-50 distribution where
Wow.
the players with black don't not everybody knows this theoretical move. So
Now I'm
they take with
curious.
the pawn. And that's so natural to do, especially in this rapid game. So now try to find the trick for white. Well, it's not really a trick, but it's just a good move here that exploits black's weaknesses.
Well, this is crazy because I couldn't find it after I
Yeah.
thought like, okay,
It's
what?
not that obvious, actually.
Yeah, okay. Wow, what about you at home? Is this something you knew? Did you find it already in the time as I've been thinking as well? Okay, so I mean, I can only see one thread, but I don't see how this is converted. There must be something else. But I'm looking at knight to d5.
You're
But
close.
yeah. Thank
So
you.
not the knight to d5, but so yeah, the main thing is this d file, which is good. You're right
Yeah.
about trying to put the pressure on that d file and also make the knight join the game and open up the center a little bit. But you can open it in a different way. So that's why knight d5 I said is quite close.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, uh, oh no, I don't know. I don't see it. What's wrong with me? Oh no. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Analogous to knight d5.
Analogous to knight d5. Knight takes e5?
No, no,
Knight
a bit of a different way.
d4. No, it doesn't make any
No, not
sense.
knight d4 either.
Bishop c4? Also not. No, I really
Just the
I'm
general bishop c4 is a generally good move, but it's
yeah.
not the tactic.
I okay. Okay. Thank you. Finally, that took a while. Knight b5.
Yeah, you see the idea now?
Yeah, finally. Jeez.
So that's a
That
better
took a
way to open
while.
up the center.
Oh,
And it also, of course, if the opponent takes, then that also opens up our bishop to join the attack. And exactly this d7 knight that was,
unstoppable.
yeah, that was the main threat of the position. So
Oh.
in case black had taken, then we put a lot of pressure on the d7 knight. And even if it gets defended by the queen, there is
Knight
still
takes
a follow-up, knight
e5,
to e5.
exactly. With
And
threatening
now
mate.
it's impossible. Yeah, either mate a lot of material.
Yeah.
Some there's is just completely winning because of that d7 piece. So instead of this in the game, Black has probably like is probably thinking about
Yeah.
it, and there's nothing else to do than just to play king to d8 at this point. So find the last follow-up idea. This one is also not that easy, but it was found in the game by this young, by this really young Turkish player
Uh-huh.
that actually did find it. I don't know if he knew it or if he found it during the game,
Interesting.
but it was very impressive the way he finished it.
So. Okay. Well, what
It's a
could
bit
that
more
be?
like it's not even that forcing. That's the hard part about
I
it.
see. Phew. Wow. What a game. This
Yeah.
is very.
And this is move 10 too, so
Yeah.
it's super close to the start.
Mm, what might that move be? I'm missing my black squared bishop, but
Right. Yeah, it would have been nicer to have it.
that would have been so cute. So, oh no, why am I so bad today? Hmm.
No, it's that these tactics are not that straightforward. They're a bit untypical if you want to like because if the tactics are typical, then all of these strong players are probably like seeing it in seconds, right?
You're absolutely
But
right.
if
Yeah.
they miss it, there must be some subtlety to it that makes
Yes.
it a little bit difficult.
So yeah, I'm very glad that we're having those difficult tactics here, because it's fun to try to find it, but I think I'm really a little bit tactically rusty, maybe. Hmm. Okay, I believe that black cannot really take the knight on b5.
Correct.
So we have to find a very good move for white to just make a piece maybe better. And that could be. But what could that be? Bishop c4. I don't know.
So that would be okay, probably. You could even play moves like king to b1 here as white and
Yeah.
be better. Like you would still be better. The
Yeah.
position is still nice because exactly what you mentioned. The knight is almost untouchable in all of these lines. So the queen was the piece to improve here.
Yes. Also, maybe or perhaps, and this is what I'm seeing now, is because of queen f4, which is almost a threat for white, which would be a queen swap.
Hmm.
So the queen goes to a5 check.
Yeah, that's what he started
Ah,
with.
damn it! It is
That's what
that.
he
That was
started
the
with, but there was also
yeah,
another move.
but that was the
So
first thing I thought about. Okay.
yeah, no, that's perfect. That's great. So now the king once again doesn't really have any options. If it starts moving this way, then there has to be a million ways to win after this with such a king in the center. For example, knight to d6. So then b6 instead.
And now our queen goes to C. No, no, it
Yeah,
doesn't. Yes, it
why?
does. C3.
Exactly, c3. No, the point is to attack on e5, and then you're threatening to take there.
Again. I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And you
Wow.
provoked this b6 to also have the
Yeah.
c6 pawn be weak, even though over here I left it up to you to like up to interpretation. You could have also played queen to c3, and that would be a very similar idea and would also be winning.
Ooh, that was a tough cookie, and that
Yeah,
was impressive.
yeah, right. Because queen c3 is just an untypical move. You're
Yeah.
not really used to seeing that. So instead, in the actual game, the queen went back to c3 after provoking the pawn move.
Hmm.
And black, once again, is just struggling to find a move to develop because of such a weak king. So in case of this capture, this is still not working because now we still have an attack on d7. Okay, it's not three pieces attacking on d7, but it's soon going to be three because of this knight to e5 move,
Yeah.
and there's no way for black to ever be even on material and also have a safe king in this game. So white will regain that piece very simply. So then instead a6 happened, and after knight to d6, black could have captured, and queen to c6 is white's idea, where both the rook and the bishop is attacked.
Hmm.
So black will have to give up this bishop somehow, and white will be better. Still not over, so this was the only way to maybe keep the game going a little bit for black. But instead, they played king to c7, which of course ran into knight to e8, and that was the end of the game. A super miniature with 14 moves.
Very crazy. How old was
Yeah.
the guy? The Turkish one?
Oh, I don't know what's his birth. Oh, 2011.
My goodness.
Crazy, right?
My goodness. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So 13-year-old wins in 14 moves. Not bad.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so
Phew.
then I have one more
Okay.
left.
Okay. So I'll give it my all. You at home? Let's
But this
solve
is
this.
actually the harder one, so
That's fine. I'm ready. I'm ready.
okay.
Let's go.
Okay. So this one is between Dubov and Ding Liren.
Heard of those
And
two.
I at least I was pretty happy to see that Ding was back into form a little bit and playing quickly and
True.
playing some really good games. And he did end up winning this game, but it was very complicated on both sides, which is why in some of these Rapid and Blitz games, I've been telling you to find it for sort of both sides a little bit, even though one of them ended up winning. So going to the middle game here, this is where things got really complicated. Very interesting tactical position, so take some time to get used to it, and
Oof.
then try to think what you would play for white.
All right. So we have an attack against the king a little bit. But our poor, poor knight is attacked now. That
Mhm.
that is not nice. Oh yeah, that is a lot to calculate. Now,
You can just say some candidate moves that you see as well,
sure. So I'm thinking about what happens if we take on g6,
right?
because after taking back, the queen would go to g3, I assume, threatening to take the knight back. So the knight has to either move or be defended.
So let's
Defended
say
by the
knight
king.
moves.
Yeah, knight moves. And now we have this absolutely beautiful move, knight takes d5. I just saw
Yep.
this in the second while I was talking. Because if the queen takes, we play bishop b3, then the rook goes to c4, and Yeah, it cannot.
Rook
Then we
cannot even
checkmate.
go there.
Yeah.
We'll mate.
So we will just win a piece here,
Win.
I think. Yeah.
That's good. That's right. So you got the that part. So then what about king to
Yeah,
f7
what about
defending then?
that? What about that? What about bishop to c2 now? This cannot be bad, can it?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you put that battery from on the light squares, and you just threaten to move the knight somewhere, whether it's on g7, h4, depending on what black plays, and
Yeah.
it's just over for the black king very soon. So you know what's surprising is that you found the absolute best move in the position, rook to g6. I thought this was one of the hardest tactics, but you found it instantly. And you said all of the right lines with knight to f8 back, with king to h7 back.
You just want to make me feel a bit
People are
better.
gonna think
It's
this is
okay.
rigged after this.
And we rigged it. There we got you. It was a plan the whole time. You didn't know that, right? No, of course not. Yeah, sometimes, I
So,
mean, yeah, it was lucky, I
and
guess.
you know what's the funniest part is that Dubov didn't find it during the game. He played something else.
Oh, boy.
So let's go back to this initial position. And
Yeah.
for you at home, there were a few other variations to analyze, of course. So now you know that rook g7 is rook g6 is the right move, and that was the best tactic in the position. There was also knight to h6 to consider, which I don't know if you saw initially, but that's a second best move.
Didn't.
That was definitely worth considering as well. And this one is probably a little bit simpler because you threaten to regain the piece
Ah, yeah.
instantly with the move f5.
F5 is good, yeah.
White ends up being slightly better in all of these lines. So for example, if black defends passively, then yes, white will be a lot better with such pressure along the king and also on the f6 pawn. And if rook to c3, which turns out to be the best move, and
Oof.
then bishop to c7 to at least get this rook out of there,
Ooh.
we get something like this. White is clearly better in most of these lines and
Yeah.
also has this exchange that, okay, they give it up sometimes, but generally just a really good position, and I would choose white anytime. And I think even from a human perspective, maybe you would even win in most of the cases here.
Mhm.
So knight to h6, I would say is a nice move, but it's the second best. And all the other moves are, yeah, either neutral or just not as good as this main forcing move.
Hmm.
What Dubov did in the game, though, was also forcing, and maybe some of you noticed this instead, but he played knight to d5. And I'm not sure why you saw this exactly 3 moves later, but not right away.
This
Because
is
I thought this was gonna be,
this
the
is a
tempting move.
mystery to me too right now, I have to say, yeah.
Because you saw it at exactly the right moment. 3 moves later after, after improving the pieces. But it
And
was possible right away, and that's exactly what they did. And it's certainly a very tempting move because of this nice bishop to b3 idea of winning the queen. But what ends up happening is that black gets to keep this defensive bishop and gets to take our knight on f5. So
okay.
now we can, of course, take the rook, but that's not really as good because we are going to have only a rook for the 2 pieces, and in such dynamic positions, 2 pieces usually tend to be better, especially these 2 really strong bishops. So then instead, Dubov takes on b6, and now comes the reason why this knight to d5 move wasn't working. So find black's nice resource that Liren found, and that ended up winning him the game.
Ooh. So, oh dear, what could that be? Is it? No, that doesn't. Or is it rook c2?
It is a rook
Ah,
c2.
nice.
Yes, it
Yeah, we
is.
give up a rook, but the second one is coming in, and
Exactly.
that looks very good. I
Yes, and
haven't
that
calculated
that
it
is
further though.
so you do give up an
Rigged.
exchange. You give up an exchange for it, but not really because you end up getting this knight on b6 back.
Yeah, I see. Okay, that I didn't
So you just got
even.
it
Yeah,
based
yeah,
on
yeah,
based on
yeah, yeah. Oh
intuition.
no. Yeah,
And white still tried to attack with something like queen to
that looks
e7,
scary.
but the 2 pieces are simply stronger than the rook in this situation, and then black's pieces are also very well defended
Wow.
and end up winning the game in a couple of moves. But this rook c2 was probably the hard move to see in advance because the square looks just, blocked by the bishop and you don't think of such things.
Hmm.
But other things surprisingly don't work. So let's say rook to c1, which also looks good. That just doesn't work because of knight to c8. So this rook c2 is important to be attacking the queen at the
Yeah.
same time because that's a lot more valuable. And of course, playing passively like rook to b8 would save the exchange, but then that would give white some really good piece activity and initiative, and whites would be winning dynamically winning. Of course, there's a lot of work and tactics left to do, but white would be winning if Ding didn't find this rook to c2 move, but he did, and he ended up winning the game.
Crazy game, I have to say.
Right.
Now I'm back to reality because I only found the tactic because I didn't see knight takes d5 on time. Just while I was constructing the weird tactic I had in mind, I was like, oh, wait, that's possible too. And there we
And
go.
that worked out perfectly because that was exactly the right way to do it.
That was fun. Svitlana, thank you so much for this. Yeah, nice tactics to look at. I hope to see all of you soon. And yeah, until then, bye bye.